Welcome to Taxing Poetic. I'm Tim.
I'm Jenny.
And today we are going to be talking another one of our regional series, and it's going to be Way Down Yonder. Discussions on Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi.
And I think we always want to preface these regional series by saying these regions came from Wikipedia. We didn't make them up, correct?
Completely agree.
JB?
Right. No, but it is, if you go to Wikipedia and you type in regions of the United States, this is how they've broken down by 9 different regions.
And yet again, just to reiterate, I think JB actually edited Wikipedia for these specific regions because he could just do it on the fly.
I suppose that is true. I could have just changed them to whatever I wanted.
So that is why we're discussing these states today. Just want to make that clear. So, yes. And of course, we have to open with a song.
Oh my gosh.
Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee.
Here it is. Who sings it?
Alan Jackson.
Oh, congratulations.
I know.
Absolutely awesome.
I did know that. Too bad that wasn't in the quiz for later.
Hey, luckily, though, the Chattahoochee does touch one of those states.
It does. In fact.
Alabama. Bingo.
I thought it also touched Tennessee.
Actually, I don't believe it goes up to Tennessee, does it?
It's called the Chattahoochee. It has to.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, because Chad. Yeah, come on, Tim. So, yes, I have a haiku here in honor of Way Down Yonder. So if you're ready.
Go for it.
Okay. Way down yonder, y'all, I shoot the Chattahoochee. Sales tax on my tube. Because guess what? Tube rentals are taxable in Tennessee.
Tube rentals are taxable in Tennessee. That's absolutely fantastic. Look at that.
Have you shot the hooch before?
I have shot the hooch before.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I did it up in Helen. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good times.
Good times.
Yep.
So yeah. So now we're on to, now that our haiku is done and my singing is complete, I think we're moving on to nerdy news, right, Tim?
Yeah, what do you got for nerdy news?
Okay. Well, our first state we have for nerdy news is Kentucky. So Tim, let's talk about the latest news from Kentucky is that a partial exemption for services that became taxable in 2023.
Which is quite shocking because a lot of states typically don't tax services, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that.
We have, but the trend is moving towards taxing them, correct?
Some form of services,
Right.
certainly.
So, So let's talk about these exemptions. We've got. Well, first, tell us, Tim, like what is happening? What happened?
Well, basically, Kentucky had provided for a whole host of services that they were going to enumerate or basically state in their law that were going to ultimately be taxable, and those those services became taxable effective January 1st of 2023. But then they were going to be offering a partial exemption when gross receipts from these services exceeded $6,000 in a calendar year. All services over $6,000 were ultimately going to be taxable. So anything less than $6,000 wouldn't be taxable. Anything above $6,000 would technically be taxable.
Okay. And then we have a whole list of services here that are now taxable for over $6,000.
Do we want to read the entire list, or are we just going to selectively pick through them?
I feel like I can just read them quickly, and then we can pick on a few of them.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Okay. All right. So lobbying, executive recruitment, facsimile transmission. JB, I think you even asked me what that was.
That's facsimiles.
That's what I said. I said, it's a fax. And he's like, what's facsimile? I said, yeah, because duh. I know, it's 1980. Mailing services, parking services, automobile club, AAA, condo timeshare exchange services, event planning and space rental. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, event planning and space rental.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, any wedding is over, as we know, is over $6,000.
Bingo.
Yep. So let's see, leisure, recreational, and athletic instruction, personal fitness training. I mean, I wouldn't know about that. But lab testing, interior decorating, moving, design services, and our favorite, lapidary services.
What is a lapidary service?
It is not a gentleman's club. It is actually cutting, polishing, and engraving precious stones.
Did you actually just bring Gentleman's Club into this?
I'm glad we've used the term Gentleman's Club.
I know, seriously.
It took a lot of episodes for us to bring that up. I thought it'd be much earlier.
I mean, when you think about lapidary services,
Sure.
I mean...
Yeah, there's a couple that I just highlighted we have to talk about. So
Yes.
I'm having secondary embarrassment, just to let you know.
Well, engraving precious stones, the lucrative engraving precious stones market in Kentucky, they were like, listen, no more. These people cannot keep getting away with this. these
We
taxes.
must tax the engraving of emeralds and
There's
diamonds.
maybe 11 people in the state of Kentucky who make more than $6,000 engraving stones.
Cutting and polishing too. You're not
Okay.
getting your stones polished, people.
Well, if you are, that price is going to go up for
Price
you.
is gonna go up.
I mean,
And we were
legitimately-
talking about how they should hire lobbyists to go to the bat for them.
But they can't because now it's going to be a
But they can't.
taxable service.
Because, well, the lobbyists are not very good in Kentucky,
No.
obviously. They couldn't even get themselves off this list.
They can't even lobby to not have lobbying not be taxable. So
The poor the gym teachers, leisure, recreation, athletic instruction, the gym teacher making $21,000 a year, teaching kids to play dodgeball. Now I got to pay taxes.
I
Well,
know.
and also, I mean, yoga instructors, right?
Yoga.
I mean, Jenny's not going to be able to get yoga in Louisville.
Personal training.
Please, terrible at yoga.
And I just
You're
want to bring up
spending
interior
$6,000 on yoga.
interior decorating. So I went to film school, and I knew, I dated some girls that were interior architects majors, and interior architecture and interior decorating are very different. And I just want to bring that up. Interior design is people use it now as, I put a throw pillow here and I want the walls to be mauve instead of taupe, and it's like that's not what it is. It's like it's interior architecture. It's actually harder
Yes.
than exterior architecture.
There's a lot of math with it.
There's a lot of math.
And
Did
geometry.
you just use the words mauve and taupe? What is that?
I took color theory.
Again, 1980.
Is that like beige?
It's in the beige family.
It's in the beige family. Yeah.
Okay.
So lobbying.
For those of
so-
us who do not understand, my color palette basically extends to about like the primaries and secondaries. It's about
Green.
it. I learned that in third grade. Well, actually, second grade.
But I did want to congratulate them on the Facsimile transmission, because that is
Facsimile.
dozens of dollars that they will be making
Yes,
now.
fax industry, you're going down for sure.
forget it.
Yeah, Kentucky lobbyists get better because now your services are taxable. So
All right,
work
so
on that.
we
Okay.
picked on Kentucky.
Okay,
we
picked
are
on
definitely
Kentucky.
got to apologize a lot to the lapidary folks there.
Yes,
So,
well, the entire state. Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama sales tax rate reduction on food, and Tim, we have had this conversation before. And JB, about states that pass a tax and they say it's going to end by a certain date, and that date comes. And they're like, oh, just kidding. We're just going to extend it for a little while to pay for X, Y, or Z. And one of our favorite examples we've brought up is here in Georgia, the State Road 400 toll tax that they said when it ended. And they tore down the toll plaza, and we were all shocked. And here's another example of a state. They're dropping, they said they were going to drop their grocery rates at a certain date once they reached a target with their education trust fund, and now they're dropping it. So it's going from 4% to 3% September 1st of this year.
Yep. And it's good to see states. I mean, obviously, a lot of states are legally obligated to do this, right? You have legislatures and departments of revenue that are legally obligated because there's sunset laws within, that they pass to actually have certain acts, certain bonds, certain other things that actually get put into place. And once those sunset dates hit, guess what? It goes away. But there's a ton of work by lobbyists that will actually extend that for certain industries. We saw that here in Georgia with the concrete truck exemption and how it was actually sunset and then it was ultimately brought back into place, right, to allow for a lot of money to be saved by concrete companies because their equipment, their trucks actually qualify as manufacturing equipment. But yes, it's great to see that when when states see and hit certain targets, they actually abide by their rules and help constituents by dropping these kinds of taxes.
Yeah.
And we've also talked about grocery taxes extensively, right? We've talked about those in the past and how it's a regressive tax.
Right.
We don't really like it. It's bad on constituents because as inflation comes up, and this kind of leads into our next state, right?
Yes.
We're going to talk about with Tennessee and their amendments to their code with regards to sales tax holidays. But the big thing is that, seeing the elimination of grocery taxes is a pretty good thing. It helps all consumers.
And we just love to see a state keep their promise.
That's
correct. You made a promise. Keep it.
There you go. Yeah,
That's what I
kind of a
teach
good
my
thing.
kids. It
So
is
it's
a good
the
thing.
education trust fund
Yes.
that they hit?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
So they have all the money they need for education in Alabama?
Well, this is.
Just wondering.
I mean,
don't know.
they set a goal and made a promise, and they wanted to reach a certain goal within this fund, and they did. So now they're dropping the tax. But you're right. Maybe That is a question I cannot answer.
Right.
Yes, maybe the lobbyists in Alabama can answer that question about education, whether they have all their funds. But keeping on. So with Tennessee, they nerdy news, effective January 1st of next year of 2024. They have amended their code to tax services performed outside the state when TPP or computer software is delivered within the state. Right, Tim?
Yep.
Okay. And this is something we're seeing more and more.
Absolutely.
States are, especially, I know we pick on Maryland a lot sometimes, but Maryland now has new software laws, correct, and digital advertising.
And they've actually been changing them a lot, right? So Maryland, try taxing SaaS. No, they're not going to be taxing SaaS. It's very interesting in the way that these laws actually get passed, and then certain people are like, hey, wait a minute. They come back to the table and they look at it. They get lobbied by certain, businesses, certain, industry groups, and they actually end up removing that tax. It's also kind of interesting to look at how some of these states are going to try to enact these laws because they could be violating interstate commerce. You're going to see people challenge these laws. Now that states, we've gotten through Wayfair, they're being able to tax remote sellers and all this other stuff, they're going to get really aggressive about taxing items that go across certain, across state lines, or like this, in this case, hey, you provided or you're performing software services potentially in another state, but that all that software, the delivery of TPP occurs within the state of Tennessee. Okay, well, there's kind of a line test there. I'm taxing something or taxing a service where the benefit's been received outside of Tennessee, but you're saying because the application of the software, the hardware is actually delivered within Tennessee, they're entitled to all that revenue.
Right.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
It's kind of goofy.
Yep. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
So good change?
Interesting change.
Interesting change. Not really. I mean, if Tennessee can make it stick, it's good for them, more revenue. But yeah, it's just an example that we're seeing throughout the country with certain
the biggest thing that you look at when you read that law as a tax professional, when you read the headline and you read how it reads, Tennessee amends their code to tax services performed outside the state when the product is ultimately then delivered inside the state. There's going to be certain states that are going to have major problems with that, like Louisiana, neighbors, Alabama, and Georgia. When you're actually performing a service on a piece of tangible property within the state, if it's a taxable service within that state, you should be taxing it. Well, Tennessee's now saying, hey, guess what? We're going to tax it as well. Okay, well, which state do I owe the tax to? Do I get reciprocity?
Both?
Right, both. Is it dual taxation? Is it double taxation, right? So then you're going to see a lot of people argue, hey, you can't do that. It's a violation of the Dormant Commerce Clause. You can't turn around and tax something that occurs outside the jurisdictions of the state. You're violating interstate commerce. This is a big problem.
Yeah, and it's kind of random. The services they're taxing are TPP or computer software, and then also laundering or dry cleaning of TPP. Okay.
Apparently, you truly upset somebody in Tennessee because you carted all your laundry across state lines and then brought it back.
Again, lobbyists in Tennessee for dry cleaning do better.
Yeah.
Installing.
And that could be like, if you think about it, and sorry to interrupt you, Jenny,
No,
but that
no,
could
please.
be like a Cintas or an Aramark or some of these other companies.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe doing uniform cleaning services, dry cleaning services for, cities in like Memphis or, Tunica, which is right there near Tennessee, when they actually could be moving things back and forth across state lines because your proximity to a jurisdiction or proximity to the border is that close that you can do that. And Tennessee's like, nope, we want our money. So pretty interesting.
It is interesting. So, yeah, hopefully we'll have some more legislative updates and nerdy news for you on that.
It's probably going to be a court case.
Yeah, probably. And then our last nerdy news state is Mississippi, but actually we didn't find too much new about Mississippi that's going on right now. So I know, Tim, you want to tax Poetic about Mississippi.
Mississippi for contractors. Obviously, this is like one of my favorite discussions to have when we get into contractors because we talk about things in the Southeast and how contractors and taxes on contractors. So if you're doing, certain types of contracting services in Mississippi specifically, if your contract's in excess of $10,000, you're actually subject to this thing that's called the 3.5% contractor's tax, and you actually have to apply for what they call a material purchase certificate. And what that ultimately ends up doing is it allows you to buy all your materials exempt from tax, but you ultimately have to pay 3.5% contractor's tax on the gross receipts derived from the actual project itself, right? But there's some very specific rules that you have to go through with Mississippi on these contracts. It trips people up all the time. If you are a contractor and you're trying to do work in the state of Mississippi, better call somebody.
What were they trying to alleviate, you think, with that?
You in all honesty, what it is it's alleviating, basically, contractors that will cruise into a state and do a bunch of work and bail out on a job and ultimately never pay any use tax. They could bring their materials in from outside the state. They could bring people in and actually perform the services and then ultimately leave the state, and they would never be subject to the tax, and Mississippi wouldn't get its cut. And so by doing this, it's forcing contractors to, number one, like when you go through an inspection and you go to get permitted and do a bunch of other things, since this tax is typically imposed on the prime contractor, since it's imposed on the prime, if they're trying to pull permits and they can't show a valid MPC, they're not going to get permitted. And so it is a known component of part of doing large-scale jobs that are, like I said, in excess of $10,000 in Mississippi, that you have to get this MPC and you have to go through it, and Mississippi expects to get their cut. It's very, very interesting. It also alleviates people skirting income tax requirements and everything else within the state, too. So it's a law that's been around for a while. Just a lot of people don't understand the ins and outs of it, and I answer questions about it all the time. People are always calling me like, what is this contractor's tax garbage? They came out and did a crane inspection on one of my jobs, and now they're not going to give me a permit, and I'm stuck doing it. Well, how much is your crane job? It's like $180,000. Yeah, dude, you got a problem. You got to turn around and do this. And if you're not working underneath a prime, or if you're working directly for the customer, congratulations, you're considered a prime and you're subject to it.
Got it. So not necessarily new legislative updates, but just an ongoing issue you see in Mississippi.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Great state. Everybody likes Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
It's all so fun to spell.
Absolutely.
But
There's a song that goes with it. MISSISSIPPI.
There you go.
Yeah. So there you go. It's easy to spell now. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a minute.
Perfect.
Welcome back to Taxing Poetic.
And before we get into our next segment, I've got to give you guys a quick update. Like, I literally received our first communication from Taxi McTaxface regarding an issue on one of our episodes. He was actually calling us out.
You got something wrong?
Yeah, apparently we misspoke in our Wayfair episode.
No way.
Right? Like, we don't know enough about Wayfair already.
I don't believe it.
Well,
what did Mr. or Mrs. McTaxface say?
Yeah. Basically said that we stated that 45 states had a sales tax imposed on remote sellers, and it was like, no, that's actually incorrect. It's 46. Why would they say 46, Jenny?
If I had to guess, they were incorrect in thinking that Alaska has a statewide sales tax.
There you go. Alaska does have a remote seller commission, but we don't really consider it to be a statewide tax. Why is that?
Because they only have local tax.
So if you really wanted to call it correct, you'd have to take the 70 some odd jurisdictions in Alaska and add them all to the rest of the states. But guess what? We're not doing that.
Yeah, don't step to us, Taxi McTaxface.
I mean, seriously, you're going to bow up?
Yes.
Like, no.
So they were wrong?
In our interpretations, and this is the best part about sales tax, right? We always say, depends on the state. We always say dots or, it depends. Congratulations. It depends on your interpretation of it. Frankly, we don't think that it's correct.
Yeah. So
you do have to register in Alaska. You do have a remote seller, commission in Alaska that you have to report to, but it's for all the little cities like Nome and,
North Pole.
North Pole. Yeah, there you go.
Well, good for taxing tax knowing so much about.
Yeah.
Wasilla.
Whatever. In your face, Taxi McTaxface.
Where apparently you can see Russia from, somebody's back porch in Wasilla, Alaska.
You always got to go there, don't you? Oh, Lord. All right. So anywho.
So we're going to hop into a quiz,
quiz,
hot shot.
Yes, we have a pop quiz, hot shot.
Do we ever get a score update? Like, do we get an overall score
Since
update?
people don't need to listen in order, it's difficult to say what the score is. The only time the score is really going to come into play is the last episode of the season. We'll say, here's what the score is.
We, as the participants, have to fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah, it's just going to be a surprise to both of us.
Well, it's ultimate competition every week then.
Yes.
Ultimate competition every week.
Absolutely. So JB's keeping track, and he'll let us know at the end of the season.
I know I'm winning already. So
I know. Well, shut up.
Fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so this first question is for Jenny. Which of the Way Down Yonder states is not a state?
Oh, shut up, Tim. I got this one. It's Kentucky's a Commonwealth, right?
Dang it.
Kentucky is a Commonwealth. That is
good job.
That is correct.
Yay! yay me.
That's my favorite bar trivia question. Love it.
There's a lot of commonwealths.
There are. Actually,
Most states aren't states.
Actually, most states.
Most states aren't states. That was deep.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Rhode Island has a really weird name too, isn't it? Like Rhode Island and the
Something very long.
Yeah, something very long in the collection of island territories or some garbage like that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Garbage. Okay, you just offended Rhode Island, but okay.
Rhode Island.
Oh boy, I just said garbage. Oh god.
Okay, second
Sorry.
question. Here's Tim. Which of these does not have a local sales tax?
Which of the states? That would be Mississippi.
It's actually Kentucky.
Wait, what?
It's a
statewide
6%
sales tax rate.
statewide.
Oh,
You need to start
God.
filing more returns to stay
my
on top
God.
of things here.
Does that have something to do with the
I would've-
Commonwealth, or is that just?
It just the state I think just chooses to have several Massachusetts and others. They just have a
Do we?
statewide sales tax. Yeah, it's just 6%. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm having secondhand embarrassment for you right now.
I'm embarrassed for myself. I know another state that only does, but yeah, no. Anyways, I screwed up.
All right, Jenny. Which of these does not have state income tax?
Tennessee.
Tennessee is correct.
Why is she getting all the softballs, dude?
I got yours. You got yours wrong. I mean,
These aren't.
Yeah, I'm on fire.
Not for me. I didn't know that. Okay, Tim. Which of these states is considered home rule?
Alabama.
Yeah. So I don't know what that is. What's home rule?
Home rule is where local jurisdictions can actually collect and administer their own taxes. So you actually have to submit the return to the local jurisdiction, as opposed to submitting it in collecting the state. So like in Georgia, Georgia's a state administered jurisdiction. So we have very complex layers of taxation. You have E-SPLOST, T-SPLOST, and that's special purpose local option sales taxes, right, for education, for transportation. You also have county, city for the city of Atlanta, and state rates. Well, you pay all that into the state, and you have to break it all down on the ST3, on the state return. But then the state administers those taxes out to all the jurisdictions, in a periodic basis. Whereas in Alabama, a lot of those jurisdictions self-administer them. Now, the state's actually doing a lot more through the one spot and
Avenue.
Yep. So we can actually administer a lot of these local jurisdictions through singular portals, but they still technically are receiving their direct cut from your submission. That's what a home rule jurisdiction is.
What's the benefit?
The benefit is the jurisdictions don't have to rely on the state on doing things right. That's why Georgia, there was a lot of questions when Georgia first administered taxes as to whether the state was actually divvying out the correct funds, right? So this way, the states, just like in Colorado, you can either trust the state to do it for you through their systems, or the jurisdictions say, hey, it's not that we don't trust the state, but we just want to administer it ourselves, and it's easier for us to just collect the tax and take it immediately.
And Louisiana. They're another home rule state.
Bingo. And we also technically have a number of different home rules, too, when you're submitting local food and beverage taxes, right?
True.
To these local jurisdictions, and same thing with hospitality taxes. Sometimes you have to submit a return. So just saying that a state is particularly home rule, there's other jurisdictions that are out there that are home rule.
And Alaska. Tax face.
Bingo.
Jeez.
And Rhode Island's official name, by the way, is Rhode Island and the Providence Plantations. There you go.
What?
Yeah.
I honestly never knew that.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon.
All right.
Too soon.
So
Where are
this
we?
one is just gonna be on me because the next question is, what is home rule? And I just wanted to know legitimately and had Tim explain it, but that was Jenny's.
That was Jenny's question. That is fantastic.
I would have gotten that correct though. So,
Yeah. So do you want me to just give?
Yes, you
would
can
wanna
give
just
me-
assume?
I would've-
I'm going to come up with another question. All
Yes.
right. So here's for Jenny. Only 2 cities in Mississippi have local taxes. What are they?
oh my gosh.
Oh, this is why Mississippi has local taxes, right?
What?
Well, you need to cut that out. Did I just hear that incorrectly? What did he say?
He said there's 2 locals in Mississippi.
That's what I said. This is why Mississippi has local taxes. Yeah, because
Only 2 cities. in
Because I
Mississippi
said
have
that
local taxes.
Mississippi had a state-based rate, and I can't think of the 2 jurisdictions. What is it, Jackson and something else?
Oh yeah, Jackson and
I'm not going to give you the other one.
I was going to say you're helping her a lot.
I know.
No, I am not.
I
giving
don't
you
know
the other
though. What is it? Jackson.
Tupelo.
Tupelo. Really? Did you know
and
that?
Jackson.
The birthplace of
Of
Elvis?
Elvis? Well,
What?
You know, I'm
Get-
a big Elvis
shut
fan.
the front
I should have
door.
known. I know. So yeah, all right. Give me a 0 for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darn it.
Jenny
And
singing
then,
Jailhouse
so-
Rock.
What is the applicable form called to be tax exempt in the state of Alabama?
Whoa, well, what kind of exemption?
So
are we
let's go
talking
with a
about?
wholesaler exemption.
Yeah, it's a resale certificate, right? Alabama resale certificate.
It's called an STEX-A1.
You're asking for the form name? What do you think I am, dude?
ChatGPT, Tim.
No, I am
Chat
not.
GP Tim.
I'm
Yes.
not Chat GP Tim. Like I there's certain forms that I can regurgitate. The SPD 3X49er is not one of them.
4-9er.
Is there a niner in there? Are you talking on a walkie-talkie?
Walkie-talkie.
Well, sorry, you got that wrong.
Yes.
It's on me a little bit for breaking up the quiz. Donna, I'll add you to the list of people to apologize to for not reading your quiz before.
Donna, thank you for your help.
My precious.
All right.
Jenny and her freaking Gollum voice over there. God. Okay, so let's get to our history lesson.
Yes.
What are we going to be talking about today there? Oh, great educated one.
Our history lesson for today is about sales tax holidays. And we were inspired by Tennessee recently passing a sales tax holiday on the retail sale of food and food ingredients, aka groceries. And it's going to be a 3-month holiday from August 1st, 2023 through October 31st of 2023.
Did you say 3 months?
It is a 3-month sales tax holiday.
That doesn't sound like a holiday to me. That sounds like an awesome vacation. That's like a sabbatical.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to call it now, a tax sabbatical.
Tax sabbatical.
Tax sabbatical.
That's right.
I'm on board for that 100%. When are they going to have one in Hawaii?
You still need to get there and fight some audits, I'm telling you. Like I need some in-person conferences with the Department of Revenue. Anyways.
So basically, let's talk about like what's a sales tax holiday. I mean,
Right.
it's kind of intuitive, but some states have these already, and I've had them for years. Where sometimes when you're going back to school or they're trying to stimulate the economy, they're going to offer a consumer not to pay sales tax on certain items. Correct?
Bingo. Yep.
Yes.
Most typically it's back to school holidays, right? We see a lot of back to Tennessee as typically a 3-day back to school holiday. It's been that way for years, and they always do it in the end of July, and it'll apply to anything that is related to like clothing items, back to school shopping items. It can be on personal computers and tablets that are less than $1,500. It'll apply, to all those things.
Yes. So, yeah, we were just going to tax Poetic about some pros and cons and what we like, don't like about sales tax holidays. Again, obviously, as consumers, we really enjoy them because we're paying less for certain items that we would hopefully normally buy.
Right.
And but if you're on the other end of sales tax compliance or a retailer or whatever, it's really tough to update your systems for this, right, Tim?
Yes, especially when we're talking item-specific exemptions. A lot of people haven't set up their POS systems to have these specific exemptions for certain types of items, so it tends to send people scrambling, right? So you have a legislative, body that decides, hey, we're going to do a sales tax holiday this year. Okay, well, what's it going to be on? Well, it's going to be on this group of specific items. And if you're like a Kohl's or if you're
Target
or
Walmart.
Walmart or whoever, you have to make sure that those groups, first off, the items have been categorized into groups, number one, and then you have to set up those groups as being categorically exempt when your system sees that for those specific dates. That is very complex in a systems environment, especially to be able to get it done in a 3 to 4 month period, right? Because a lot of times we're not going to hear about these sales tax holidays until legislative session is over, which is usually what? March, April timeframe of a year,
Okay.
right? And so then they'll pass and approve these sales tax holidays. And guess what? Now think about Tennessee, even though everybody already understands Tennessee's, but if it was something new, so if Georgia decides to do this, we only have 3 or 4 months to implement that in a system. That's an awful lot to ask an IT team or a group of tax professionals to do. That's sometimes where we come in. We can help you out do that. There's other professionals that are out there who can do that, but you have to get with somebody who understands tax technology as well as the legislative components of the tax and also the compliance piece, right?
Right.
Because the compliance piece is going to be difficult to figure out how you're going to get the information out of the system and make sure that it's all working appropriately.
Technology-wise, it's probably an advantage that it's 3 months because when it's only like 3 days,
Oh, it's horrible.
That's really tough.
You're doing all this work for literally 3 days of exemptions, and especially when you're a hybrid retailer, it's very difficult.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be nice if all we did was sell pens and notebooks, but unfortunately, the majority of these retailers sell a heck of a lot more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why 3 months.
Maybe that's why. And I think, like we were saying earlier, I think these sales tax holidays have great intentions for, this one's for groceries, and it's basically, from what our research told us, was, to help alleviate, low income households with inflation costs, and, really trying to, give people a break from the higher prices.
I'm gonna offer the dissenting opinion on that. See, to me, this is what I find so interesting about government and the passing and management of government policy. So we've had this inflation issue for a number of different, for a number of months, right? It's been a problem, and we know that it's been impacting our economy drastically over the last 16 to 18 months. But now Tennessee decides to pass this holiday, and they passed it, and they specifically talk about it. They're like, oh yeah, we wanted to alleviate the pressure on increases in food prices. And they cited eggs as a specific example. Well, you had egg prices that for a while during the summer were over $5, a dozen. Well, egg prices have already come back down. And now they're like, hey, guess what? We're just going to go ahead and do the sales tax holiday. Well, you're a day late and $1 short. Right.
Well, true.
And that's what's very difficult, like for these, and I feel for them. I mean, I truly do. Like when you're trying to do policy and you're trying to do the right thing for consumers, but you're a little bit on the lagging component.
Well, I think every little bit helps. Dissenting opinion to your dissenting opinion is August 1st is usually the beginning of the school year.
Yes.
A lot of these family students who who have food insecurity during the summer months, this might help these families as the kids go back to school.
And I love that. I mean,
yes.
I think the sales tax holidays for back to school stuff is absolutely amazing. And I think historically with Tennessee doing that, a lot of other states have followed suit. I think it's a really good thing. What I truly found interesting was the Tennessee Works Act that basically this 3-month grocery thing kind of fell under. I was like, that's kind of interesting. It's an interesting way to try to stimulate the economy when you're on the back end of the wave. But
well, you're
hey, that's
right.
just my opinion, right?
No, that's okay.
So.
We all know what they say about opinions.
Bingo.
Not worth ass out of you and me.
Wait a minute. No.
Perfect.
But okay, so let's get back to our history lesson. So as we were researching this, I thought it was so interesting. I thought, when was the first sales tax holiday? I don't know. So the first sales tax holiday was in Michigan in 1980, and it was on automobiles, which, surprise, surprise, are mostly produced back then in Michigan and Detroit. And they were offering sales tax holidays on automobiles purchased to help stimulate the economy for automobiles, correct?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
If you think about it, what were we coming out of in 1980?
A recession, correct?
Right, big time recession and super high gas prices and super long gas lines and things of that nature, and that had a massive impact on what industry? The automobile.
Yeah, and it helped them boost some sagging sales, and so yeah, that was the first time something like that was offered,
and it worked.
And it worked, and
Yep.
so, but however, the idea did not catch on until New York in 1997 decided to offer a sales tax holiday on clothing items less than $500 because they were noticing that folks were traveling into nearby New Jersey to purchase clothes, say for back to school or for the winter or whatever, because clothing is tax exempt in New Jersey.
There you go.
So they decided to go ahead and offer that holiday. Then I think, Tim, didn't they make that exemption permanent?
There's definitely clothing exemptions all throughout the Northeast. It's quite interesting that a lot of the states that are just all bordering each other right there, when you look at Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, they all have some form of exemption on clothing. Basically to follow suit with each other's laws.
Right.
And they're some of the only jurisdictions in the U.S. that actually exempt clothing purchases that are less, they have a floor, right? So I guess it's a floor. It's basically anything less than 125, or in some cases it's 100 or 150. Boom. then you'll turn around and you don't pay any tax. But any items that are over that, you ultimately pay the sales tax on.
Because I think in the Northeast, you probably have to wear more clothes than you do in Florida.
That's exactly
So
right.
that's probably why they all need to have some sort of exemption.
Exactly.
Yes. So, and yeah, so then.
There must be some sort of exemption in Florida on jean shorts, though, from the University of Florida. Is that right? Is that why we see
I
so
can't
many
believe you went
jorts down
there.
I had to. I'm a dog fan. Come on.
Go
Give me a
Gators.
break. Yeah. Boo. Boo the swamp. The biggest thing is just understanding when those holidays fall, doing the systematic implementation of it. Once you do it once and you kind of get it under your belt, then, it's the biggest thing is understanding people. If a state has never had a holiday before, organizing and categorizing those items and making sure that they're in the appropriate buckets that can fall into that so your system can pick it up appropriately. But we can help you do that, or another tax professional. So.
No, just us.
Just
Yep,
us.
Just
okay.
us. Shameless plug for some
Shameless
names.
plug. All right. Okay,
Okay.
we have some people to apologize to before. It's actually a long list. The Alan Jackson fans, just in case that, who knows. The Chattahoochee River, which is actually not in Tennessee.
See, thank
not?
you.
I know.
I knew it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It
Sorry.
starts in Georgia and flows to the Gulf of Mexico.
I'm sure people started writing emails immediately as soon as we were like, yeah, definitely it's in Tennessee.
I was a B student in geography.
Kentucky lobbyists, the rock shiners and engravers of Kentucky.
I do not apologize to Kentucky lobbyists. I'm
I
just
made
making
some
it clear.
insinuations about the education in Alabama. Sorry
I
about
think someone needs to apologize for comparing lapidary services to a strip club.
that. Lapidary, people who know what the word lapidary means. John McCain, Republicans, as you made fun of their queen.
Oh my gosh.
Rhode Island, Alaska. Donna, this is from me for not reading all of the tax question quizzes
Before asking
them and then asking one of those questions just offhand. Tennessee legislators who are just trying to help. The Florida and their jean shorts, and UGA people who are bringing the mullet back.
Anyway,
Long list. So
I'm part of
so,
that UGA fandom. It's just if I could grow a mullet, I could.
Sure,
But unfortunately, no.
So you have to say sorry.
Oh,
I apologize.
I apologize to everyone but Kentucky lobbyists. Sorry.
It's never all of them. We can never just apologize to all of them.
I mean,
All right.
literally, Jenny has drinking haterade by the gallon. She has had her haterade fill.
I mean, you guys can apologize, but I'm. Thank you for listening to us today on Taxing Poetic. A reminder, you don't have to listen to these episodes in order, and you can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google, and you can watch and listen on YouTube.
Yes, please like and subscribe. We absolutely love hearing from you all, even if you are Taxi McTaxface and probably have given us a 1-star rating. You please rate us and continue with the questions. We love interactions with the audience. So thank you very much. Have a great day.